It was a quiet, sun-drenched afternoon in the exclusive neighborhood of Valle Dorado, a place where silence itself seemed expensive. Every house stood like a monument to wealth. White stone facades, glass walls reflecting the sky, manicured lawns trimmed so perfectly they looked artificial. Luxury cars lined the streets like trophies, Bentleys, Ferraris, and of course, the unmistakable symbol of status, the Rolls-Royce. Marcus Reed had no business being there. At least, that's what most people would assume. Dressed simply in dark jeans and a fitted jacket, Marcus walked calmly down the street, his posture relaxed, his eyes focused. In his hand was a key fob, sleek, metallic, unmistakably premium. He stopped in front of a midnight blue Rolls-Royce Phantom, its polished surface gleaming under the afternoon sun like a mirror. He pressed the button. The car responded instantly, lights flickering, doors unlocking with a soft, dignified click. And that's when everything went wrong. From across the street, behind oversized sunglasses and a perfectly angled sun hat, stood Victoria Langford. She was the kind of woman who believed the world worked because people like her existed. Wealthy, influential, and deeply convinced of her own superiority, Victoria had spent decades building a life where she never had to question her assumptions. And right now, her assumption was simple. That man did not belong with that car. Her lips tightened. Without hesitation, she pulled out her phone. "Yes, hello," she said sharply, her voice cutting through the calm like a blade. "There's a man here. Yes, suspicious. He's trying to steal a Rolls-Royce. Yes, I'm sure. Please send someone immediately." Marcus, unaware, opened the driver's door. Just as he was about to get in, he heard the distant sound of sirens. He paused. Moments later, two police cars pulled up aggressively, tires crunching against the pavement. Officers stepped out quickly, hands near their holsters. "Step away from the vehicle!" one of them shouted. Marcus froze, confusion flickering across his face. "I'm sorry," he said calmly. "There must be some misunderstanding. Step away. Now." He slowly raised his hands, stepping back. Victoria approached, her heels clicking against the pavement, her expression a mix of triumph and disdain. "That's him," she said, pointing. "I saw him trying to steal it." Marcus turned toward her, his brow furrowing. "Ma'am, I think you're mistaken. This is my car." A short, incredulous laugh escaped her lips. "Your car?" she repeated. "Please, don't insult everyone's intelligence." The officers exchanged glances. "Sir," one of them said cautiously, "do you have proof of ownership?" Marcus nodded. "Yes. The registration is in the glove compartment, and I have ID in my wallet." "Slowly," the officer instructed. Marcus moved carefully, retrieving his wallet and handing over his ID. The officer examined it, then looked back at Marcus, uncertain. Victoria crossed her arms. "This is ridiculous," she snapped. "You can't seriously believe him. Look at him. Look at this neighborhood." Marcus's jaw tightened slightly, but he remained composed. "Run the plates," he said quietly. One of the officers did just that. Seconds passed. Then a minute. The air grew heavy. Finally, the officer's radio crackled. He listened. His expression changed. "Sir," he said slowly, looking at Marcus. "The vehicle is registered to Marcus Reed." Silence. Victoria blinked. "That's not possible," she said sharply. "There must be an error." Marcus exhaled softly. "No error," he replied. But the story didn't end there. Because Victoria Langford wasn't a woman who accepted being wrong. "Oh, I see what this is," she said, her tone shifting. "You probably used some kind of scheme. Fake documents. People like you always find a way." The words hung in the air, heavier than before. One of the officers shifted uncomfortably. "Ma'am," he said, We've confirmed the registration. I don't care what you've confirmed, she snapped. This is clearly suspicious. I want a full investigation. Marcus looked at her, really looked this time. And for the first time, there was something behind his calm expression. Something sharp, something controlled. You want an investigation? He asked quietly. Yes, she said, lifting her chin. I do. He nodded once. All right, he said. Let's do that. What Victoria didn't know, what she couldn't possibly have imagined, was that Marcus Reed was not just the owner of that Rolls-Royce. He was the owner of something far more powerful. Over the next few days, things began to shift in ways Victoria didn't expect. First, a video surfaced. A bystander had recorded the entire incident, the accusation, the police arrival, Victoria's words, every detail, and it spread like wildfire. People were outraged, not just at the accusation, but at the certainty behind it. The entitlement. The assumption. Within 48 hours, the video had millions of views. Within 72, reporters were calling. Victoria tried to control the narrative. It was a misunderstanding, she said in a carefully crafted statement. I was simply concerned about safety. But the footage told a different story. And then came the twist she never saw coming. Marcus Reed held a press conference. Standing behind a podium, dressed in a tailored suit, he looked every bit the man she had refused to see that day. I've stayed silent long enough, he said. Cameras flashed. I wasn't just accused of stealing my own car, he continued. I was profiled, humiliated, and treated as a suspect in a place where I had every right to be. He paused. But this isn't just about me. And then he revealed it. Marcus Reed was the CEO of a rapidly growing tech company, one that had just secured a major partnership with investors tied directly to several businesses in Valle Dorado, including Victoria's. The room erupted. Because suddenly, this wasn't just a viral incident. It was a power shift. Within days, consequences began to unfold. Victoria's business partners started pulling away. Investors grew nervous. Her reputation, once untouchable, began to crack. And Marcus? He didn't shout. He didn't seek revenge in the way people expected. He did something far more devastating. He told the truth. In interviews, in articles, in quiet, measured statements, he laid everything out. Not just what happened, but what it represented. And people listened. Because it wasn't just about a car anymore. It was about a mindset. Weeks later, Victoria found herself sitting alone in her massive living room, the silence no longer comforting. Her phone buzzed constantly, calls she couldn't answer, messages she couldn't fix. For the first time in her life, she wasn't in control. And the worst part? She knew exactly when she lost it. It wasn't when the video went viral. It wasn't when the press turned against her. It was the moment she looked at a man standing beside his own car and decided, without evidence, without hesitation, that he didn't belong. That was her biggest mistake. And it cost her everything. If this story made you think, even for a second, don't stop here. Subscribe now, because the next story might just change the way you see the world forever.